Eric Miller adjusted his formal uniform as the Earth ship approached the massive space station. The year was 2145, and humanity had finally achieved true interstellar travel. The Montgomery Drive had changed everything, allowing ships to cross vast distances between stars in weeks instead of centuries. Today was supposed to be a triumph. After decades of preparation, Earth was ready to join the Galactic Confederation. "Ambassador, we're docking in 5 minutes," Lieutenant Samantha Wright said. She stood tall beside him, her military uniform contrasting with his diplomatic attire. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Is our presentation ready?" Eric asked. "Yes, sir, though I still think we should show them more of our capabilities." Eric shook his head. "We follow protocol. We show only what Earth Command has approved." The ship shuddered as it connected to the Confederation space station. Through the viewport, Eric could see strange alien architecture, curving hallways and glowing walls unlike anything on Earth. Representatives from 27 advanced species awaited them. As they walked through the airlock, Eric felt a flutter of nerves. This moment would determine humanity's place among the stars. The meeting chamber was vast, with delegates seated in rising tiers around a central platform. Beings of all shapes and sizes watched as Eric and his team entered. Some had too many limbs. Others seemed made of crystal or gas contained in special suits. The diversity was breathtaking. High Chancellor Krev of the Zorthan species presided over the gathering. Tall and blue-skinned with 4 arms and a ridge of bone where hair would be on a human, Krev looked down at the Earth delegation with 6 yellow eyes. "The representatives from planet Earth may present their case for membership," Krev announced, his voice translated through the devices in Eric's ears. Eric stepped forward and activated the holographic display showing Earth's achievements, technical capabilities, and cultural highlights. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Confederation, I come before you today to formally request Earth's admission as the 28th member of your esteemed alliance. In the century since we discovered faster-than-light travel, we have—" A harsh laugh interrupted him. It came from a Zorthan delegate. "Your Montgomery Drive is barely better than primitive rocket fuel compared to our quantum displacement technology," the delegate said. Eric maintained his diplomatic smile. "Every species advances at its own pace. We believe we have much to offer and much to learn. Your weapon systems are centuries behind the Confederation standard," another delegate said, this one a gelatinous being in a hovering tank. "You would require our protection at every turn." Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Eric continued his presentation, highlighting Earth's scientific achievements, but the interruptions grew more frequent and more mocking. "Your planetary defense grid couldn't stop a mining vessel," one delegate called out. "How many worlds have you colonized?" 3. "We each maintain hundreds," said another. Even High Chancellor Krev was smirking. "Ambassador Miller, while we appreciate your enthusiasm, Earth simply does not meet our technological or military standards for membership. Perhaps in another century, you might qualify for associate status." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Eric felt his face grow hot, but years of diplomatic training kept his expression neutral. "We respect your decision," Eric said carefully. "However, I believe you underestimate Earth's potential. We hope you will reconsider." As the Earth delegation was escorted out, Lieutenant Wright leaned close to Eric. "Did you notice how the Talon and Meridian delegates seemed uncomfortable? They barely participated in the mockery." Eric nodded slightly. And the Trillax representative kept looking at the emergency communication panel. "Something's not right in paradise," Wright muttered. Back aboard their ship, Eric removed his formal jacket and sighed. "They didn't just reject us. They humiliated us." Wright was studying data on her tablet. "Sir, I've been monitoring their communication frequencies. There's unusual activity, encrypted transmissions, military channels active when they should be dormant. The Confederation is worried about something," Eric said, "and they don't think we're worth bringing into their confidence." "What do we do now?" Wright asked. Eric's expression hardened. We return to Earth and tell them what happened. But we also begin Protocol Sanctuary. If the Confederation won't accept us as equals, we'll be ready when they need us as saviors. As their ship pulled away from the station, neither of them noticed the dark shape that briefly appeared at the edge of the system before vanishing again. The first scout of the Nexus Hive. Admiral John Carter stood at the head of the oval table in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room was silent as Ambassador Miller finished his report on the Confederation meeting. "So they laughed at us," Carter said. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his fingers tapped the table lightly. "They did more than laugh, Admiral," Miller replied. "They dismissed us completely, called our technology primitive." Lieutenant Wright pulled up a series of images on the wall screen. "These are scans we took of their ships while docked. Their visible weapon systems are advanced, but not impossibly so." Carter nodded. "As we expected. What about the communication patterns you mentioned?" "Frequent, encrypted, and anxious," Wright said. "They're worried about something big, but they didn't share any details with us." Carter pressed a button, and the wall panel slid aside to reveal a massive holographic map of known space. "Computer, show Protocol Sanctuary assets." The map lit up with hundreds of blue dots, far more ships than Earth had officially claimed to possess. "The Confederation thinks we have a fleet of 40 ships. We have 327 combat-ready vessels with advanced weapon systems," Carter said. "They think our Montgomery Drive is our best technology. They have no idea about our quantum shields." Miller looked surprised. "I knew we were hiding some capabilities, but this much." "Humanity has been careful since we detected the first unusual signals 15 years ago," Carter explained. "We've presented ourselves as less advanced than we are. The Confederation only sees what we want them to see." The door opened, and Dr. Olivia Martinez entered. Her lab coat was wrinkled, suggesting she'd been working through the night. "Sorry I'm late. The test results just came in." She connected her tablet to the main display. "Our quantum shield technology is now fully operational on all primary fleet vessels." The screen showed footage of a small unmanned Earth ship. A powerful energy beam hit it, but instead of damaging the vessel, the beam's energy seemed to bend around it. "The shield doesn't just block attacks, it redirects the energy," Martinez explained. "Based on our analysis of Confederation weapons, they have nothing that can penetrate these defenses." Carter turned to the others. "We've been preparing for war while presenting ourselves as peaceful explorers. Not because we want conflict, but because something in this galaxy has always seemed off." Kate Simmons, Earth's chief intelligence officer, stood up next. "We've intercepted and decoded partial transmissions from the far side of Confederation space. Something called the Nexus is mentioned repeatedly, always with military alert codes attached." She displayed fuzzy images that looked like massive organic ships with strange, web-like structures. "Whatever this Nexus is, the Confederation is terrified of it," Simmons continued. "And based on movement patterns, it's heading their way." Miller frowned. "And they still rejected our membership, even with a threat approaching." "Pride," Carter said simply. "Hzorthans particularly have dominated the Confederation for centuries. Accepting help from primitives like us would damage their standing." "What's our move, Admiral?" Wright asked. "We continue Protocol Sanctuary. Accelerate fleet readiness, but maintain our public posture." "Dr. Martinez, how quickly can we equip our civilian evacuation ships with quantum shields?" 3 weeks, maybe 4. Carter nodded. "Do it. When this Nexus arrives, I want Earth ready to assist, whether the Confederation asks for help or not." Miller stared at the holographic map, still processing the scope of Earth's hidden preparations. "They'll be shocked when they discover our true capabilities. Let's hope they live long enough to be surprised," Carter replied. "Lieutenant Wright, prepare a stealth reconnaissance vessel. I want eyes near the Confederation border with this Nexus space." Wright nodded. "Commander Powell's team is ready for deployment. The Nightshade can be launched within 12 hours. Good. We need to know exactly what we're facing, Carter said. Because something tells me the Confederation's laughter is going to die in their throats very soon. Commander Ryan Powell watched from the bridge of the Nightshade as the Confederation border colony burned. His stealth ship hovered just outside scanner range, completely invisible to both the colony systems and the attacking forces. Record everything, Powell ordered. Full spectrum analysis. His crew worked silently, their faces lit by the glow of their screens. Outside, strange organic ships swarmed around the colony's defensive platforms. The alien vessels looked like massive insects, with segmented bodies and limbs that seemed to grow directly from their hulls. "Sir, the colony's defenses are failing," reported his sensor officer. "Those ships are adapting to the Confederation weapons. Each time they're hit, the next ship shows resistance to that weapon type." Powell leaned forward. Biological technology. They're sharing defensive information through some kind of hive mind. On the view screen, the largest alien ship extended a proboscis-like structure. It punctured the colony's main dome, and smaller creatures poured inside. "Life signs in the colony are dropping rapidly," the sensor officer said quietly. Powell clenched his jaw. They were under strict orders to observe only. Earth needed information about this new enemy, not a premature confrontation. An alert sounded. "Commander, I'm picking up a distress signal. A small Confederation ship is trying to escape the colony. It's carrying mostly civilians." Powell checked the tactical display. 3 of the insect ships were pursuing the escaping vessel. "Sir, that ship won't make it to the jump point before they catch it." Powell's orders were clear. Maintain stealth. Gather intelligence. Do not engage. But the Confederation ship's manifest showed 52 civilians aboard, including 17 children. "Weapons online," Powell ordered. "Prepare to drop stealth." His first officer looked up sharply. "Sir, our orders." "I know our orders. Sometimes you have to make a choice between following orders and doing what's right." Powell stood. "Target the pursuing ships only. Minimal force profile." The Nightshade's stealth field dropped, and the ship surged forward. Its advanced weapons fired precise beams that sliced through the pursuing alien vessels. The creatures seemed shocked by the unexpected attack and scattered momentarily. "The Confederation ship is clear," reported the tactical officer. "They're heading for the jump point." "Re-establish stealth and withdraw," Powell ordered. "Did they get a good look at us?" "Negative. Sir, we were only visible for 8 seconds. Their systems were damaged. They likely registered us as another Confederation vessel." Powell nodded, relief washing over him. "Let's hope so." Before the Nightshade could fully cloak again, a transmission came through on an open frequency. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Lyra of the Zorthan refugee ship Light of Dawn. We don't know who you are, but thank you. We carry the future with us." The transmission cut off as the Confederation ship reached the jump point and disappeared. "Sir," the communications officer said, "I ran facial recognition on the Zorthans we saw. One of the children aboard is Vela Krev, High Chancellor Kreb's daughter," Powell said quietly. "That complicates things." The Nightshade retreated to a safe distance, and Powell sent a tight beam transmission back to Earth with their findings. Within hours, Admiral Carter's reply came through. "Return immediately. Full briefing required. The Confederation has officially sent a distress signal to Earth requesting humanitarian aid." 3 days later, Powell stood in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, showing his footage to Earth's leadership. "The Nexus Hive, as they call themselves, has attacked 8 Confederation colonies in the past week," Powell explained. "Their biological ships adapt to any weapon used against them. Confederation defenses are failing system by system. President Diane Franklin studied the images, and now they want our help. The same people who laughed at us." "Yes, Madam President," Powell confirmed. "Their ambassador arrives tomorrow, apparently. Saving High Chancellor Krebs' daughter has opened a door." Then we better be ready to walk through it, Franklin said. But on our terms this time. The Confederation representatives looked uncomfortable in Earth's gravity as they entered the meeting hall. High Chancellor Krev led the group, his blue skin pale with exhaustion or fear or both. 5 other alien leaders followed him, each from a different species within the Confederation. President Franklin stood to greet them, with Ambassador Miller and Admiral Carter at her sides. "Welcome to Earth," Franklin said. "We received your distress call." Krev bowed his head slightly. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, President Franklin. The situation has become dire. Please, sit." Franklin gestured to the large round table. "Tell us what you need." The aliens exchanged glances. It was clear that asking humans for help was painful for them. "The Nexus Hive has destroyed 12 of our colonies and damaged 20 more," Krebs said finally. "Our weapons cannot stop them. Our shields cannot block them. We need humanitarian assistance for millions of refugees." "And what would Earth receive in return?" Admiral Carter asked bluntly. Krebs' 6 eyes blinked in surprise. "We thought, given our previous interactions, a provisional alliance might be possible. Limited technology sharing, observer status in the Confederation." Miller leaned forward. "The same Confederation that called our technology primitive just weeks ago." "Circumstances have changed," said one of the other aliens, a crystalline being named Zax. "Pride must be set aside for survival." Franklin nodded. "Let me show you something before we continue." She led them to a large window overlooking a medical facility. Inside, hundreds of injured aliens from various Confederation species were receiving treatment from human doctors. "We've already begun accepting your wounded," Franklin explained. "Our medical ships are preparing to depart for your outer colonies." The aliens stared in shock. "How did you? When did you?" Krev stammered. "We started preparing the moment we received your distress call," Franklin said. "Humans don't wait to help those in need, even those who've insulted us." She led them next to a hangar where engineers worked on defensive shield generators. Frank Nelson, Earth's lead engineer, demonstrated a portable shield. "These can protect settlements of up to 5,000 people," Nelson explained. "They'll buy time for evacuations if the hive attacks." Krev reached out to touch the device. "This technology, it's far more advanced than what you showed us during your membership presentation." "We showed you what we wanted you to see," Admiral Carter said simply. The group moved to a command center where tactical displays showed the hive's movement through Confederation space. "You've been tracking them?" asked another alien representative. "For weeks," Carter confirmed. "We have stealth observation vessels monitoring the situation." Krev looked at the humans with new eyes. "You've been preparing for this conflict even before we asked for help." "We prepared because it was the right thing to do," Franklin said. "Now about that alliance you mentioned. We have some conditions." Later, as the Confederation representatives prepared to leave with promises of medical aid and defensive technology, Krev approached Commander Powell privately. "My daughter Vela told me about a mysterious ship that saved them during the evacuation of Colony 7, Krev said. "Was that your vessel, Commander?" Powell met his gaze. "I can neither confirm nor deny that, High Chancellor." Krev's face showed a complex mix of emotions. "I was wrong about humans. We all were. I thought your species primitive and weak. But you hide your strength behind kindness and your technology behind humility." "Different cultures have different values," Powell said. "We don't measure advancement by weapons alone." "The Confederation can learn much from Earth," Krev admitted, "if we survive this war." As the aliens departed, Admiral Carter joined Franklin by the window. "They still think we're giving them our best technology," Carter noted. "Let them think that," Franklin replied. "They're not ready to see everything yet, but they will be once the hive attacks again. And they will attack again," Carter said grimly. Soon, Captain Lisa Boyd stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiant. The ship orbited the joint Earth Confederation outpost near Alpha Centauri, a forward base for humanitarian operations. 3 Confederation ships floated nearby, their sleek designs contrasting with the Defiant's more solid appearance. "Status report," Boyd ordered, her eyes fixed on the long-range scanners. "All systems normal, Captain," her second-in-command replied. "The refugee transports are loading now. They should be ready to depart in 30 minutes. Boyd nodded. The outpost held over 5,000 Confederation civilians fleeing from Hive-controlled space. Earth and Confederation forces had established a defensive perimeter, but Boyd felt uneasy. "The Hive has been too quiet," she murmured. As if summoned by her words, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple contacts," the sensor officer shouted. "Hive signatures detected. At least 30 ships approaching fast." Boyd hit the communication panel. "All ships, battle stations. This is not a drill." The 3 Confederation vessels moved into defensive positions. They were top-of-the-line warships, the pride of the Confederation fleet. "Confederation command ship Valiant is hailing us," said the communications officer. The face of General Voss appeared on screen. The reptilian commander of Confederation forces looked down at Boyd with barely hidden disdain. "Captain Boyd, move your vessel to the rear. Protect the civilian transports while real warships handle the Hive." Boyd bit back a sharp reply. "Understood, General. Good hunting." As the Defiant pulled back, the Hive ships swarmed into the system. They looked different from the recordings, larger, with new organic growths sprouting from their hulls. The Confederation ships opened fire, their energy weapons cutting through space. Several smaller Hive vessels exploded, but the larger ones absorbed the impacts with barely any damage. "They've adapted," Boyd said quietly. Within minutes, the battle turned. The Hive ships surrounded the lead Confederation vessel, attaching themselves to its hull. The ship's shields failed, and its engines went dark. "The Valiant is being boarded," reported Boyd's tactical officer. "The other Confederation ships are taking heavy damage." Boyd watched as the 2nd Confederation ship lost weapons capability. The 3rd was trying to retreat, its hull breached in multiple places. General Voss's face appeared on screen again, now bloody and desperate. "Earth vessel, we need assistance. Our weapons are ineffective." Boyd straightened her uniform. "Move the Defiant into attack position. Power up the pulse cannons." Her crew stared at her. "Captain, those are classified weapons," her second-in-command whispered. "And those are people dying," Boyd replied firmly. Admiral Carter authorized defensive use of pulse technology if civilian lives were at stake. The Defiant surged forward, positioning itself between the remaining Confederation ships and the advancing Hive vessels. "Pulse cannons charged, Captain," reported the weapons officer. "Target the largest Hive ship. Fire." A brilliant blue beam erupted from the Defiant. Unlike conventional energy weapons, this beam seemed to pulse with concentric rings of force. When it struck the Hive ship, the vessel didn't explode. It simply disintegrated, breaking apart at the molecular level. The Hive ships paused their attack, as if confused. "Target the ships attached to the Valiant. Minimal power, surgical strikes." The pulse cannons fired again, this time in short bursts that removed the Hive borders without damaging the Confederation ship. "All Hive vessels are retreating," announced the sensor officer. "They're jumping out of the system." As the dust settled, Boyd ordered rescue teams to assist the damaged Confederation vessels. When General Voss was brought aboard the Defiant, he stared at Boyd with new eyes. "That weapon, it's unlike anything I've seen. You could have saved countless lives if you'd shared this technology earlier." Boyd met his gaze calmly. "General, what you saw was just one of many technologies Earth has developed. We didn't share them because we weren't allies. And frankly, you never asked." Voss's expression darkened. "The Confederation Council will hear about this deception." "Good," Boyd replied, "because it's time they learned exactly what Earth brings to this fight, and why they should never have laughed at us." The War Council chamber in Earth's Geneva headquarters fell silent as the last of the Confederation representatives took their seats. The circular room was designed to put everyone on equal footing, but today Earth clearly held the power. Admiral Carter stood at the center with President Franklin. Across from them sat High Chancellor Krev and General Voss, still angry after the Alpha Centauri battle. "The Confederation demands an explanation," Voss began, his scaled skin flushing with emotion. "You hid vital military technology while our people died." President Franklin raised her hand. "We understand your frustration, General. That's why we called this meeting, to put all cards on the table." She nodded to Dr. Martinez and Science Officer Paul Green, who stepped forward with a holographic projector. "This is the Nexus Hive," Martinez said, activating a detailed 3D model of the insect-like ships. "We've been studying them since we first detected their signals 15 years ago." The Confederation representatives murmured in surprise. 15 years? Before you even contacted us?" Krev asked. "We detected unusual transmissions from beyond your space," Green explained. "Our analysis showed biological patterns unlike anything in known space. We've been preparing ever since." Martinez highlighted different parts of the Hive ships. "They communicate through a biological network. Their ships aren't just vessels, they're living extensions of the hive mind." Green continued, "Their primary weakness is this central node structure. Disrupt it, and the smaller units become disorganized." General Voss leaned forward. "We've targeted those structures repeatedly. Our weapons barely penetrate their hulls." Admiral Carter pressed a button, and the holographic display changed to show Earth's fleet. Ship after ship appeared, far more than the Confederation knew existed. "Earth currently maintains a fleet of 327 combat-ready vessels," Carter said calmly, "all equipped with quantum shield technology and pulse weapons." The room erupted in shocked exclamations. "Impossible," one alien delegate shouted. "Your industrial capacity couldn't possibly." "We showed you what we wanted you to see," Franklin interrupted. "Just as you showed us only what you wanted us to see when we requested membership." Carter continued, "Our quantum shields don't just block attacks, they absorb and redistribute energy. Our pulse cannons disrupt molecular bonds rather than causing heat damage. Both are specifically effective against biological technology." Krev's 6 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed this information. "You've been preparing for this exact enemy all along." "We prepare for all possibilities," Franklin replied. "It's the human way." General Voss stood abruptly. "This is outrageous. You deceived the entire Confederation." "Did we?" Carter asked mildly. "Or did you simply assume we were primitive because it suited your worldview?" Franklin raised her hand again for silence. "The past doesn't matter now. What matters is defeating the Hive. We propose a full alliance, complete technology sharing, joint command structure, combined fleet operations." She slid data tablets toward each representative. "These contain schematics for retrofitting your ships with simplified versions of our shield technology. Not as effective as our full systems, but better than what you currently have." Krev picked up the tablet slowly. "And what does Earth want in return for this generosity?" "Full membership in whatever replaces the Confederation after this war," Franklin said. "Equal standing, equal voice, equal rights." The alien representatives huddled together, speaking in hushed tones. Finally, Krev turned back to face the humans. "You understand that this will fundamentally change the balance of power in the galaxy," he said. Carter smiled slightly. "The Hive already changed that balance, Chancellor. We're simply acknowledging reality." Krev looked around at his fellow representatives, then back to the humans. "Very well. We accept your terms." Franklin nodded. "Then, effective immediately, Earth and the Confederation are allies. General Voss, Admiral Carter will brief you on our joint strategy." As the meeting concluded, Krev approached Miller. "You knew all along that we would need you one day, didn't you, Ambassador?" Miller smiled. "Let's just say we always believed our paths would cross again, Chancellor, though perhaps not under these circumstances." Commander Steve Rogers crouched in the dark tunnel, his special operations team silent behind him. 6 humans and 4 aliens moved like shadows through the abandoned mining facility. This hive node on the planet Xeris had once been a thriving Confederation colony. 200 meters to the central chamber, whispered Zella, a Xalan scout with natural night vision. Heavy hive activity ahead. Rogers checked his tactical display. The plan was simple but dangerous. Plant disruptor devices at key points in the hive node, then escape before detonation. Remember, Rogers told his team, conventional weapons attract attention. Silent takedowns only. They moved forward, encountering their first hive drones. The insect-like creatures were twice human size, with multiple limbs and sensor-filled antennae. Rogers signaled, and his team split into practiced formations. 2 soldiers fired sound-dampened tranquilizer rounds, while others moved in with molecular-edged blades that sliced through the hive creatures' tough exoskeletons. The aliens on the team watched in amazement as the humans took down the drones without raising an alarm. Your soldiers fight differently, Zella commented. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years, Rogers replied. We learned stealth out of necessity. The team reached the central chamber, a vast cavern filled with pulsing organic technology. Egg-like structures lined the walls, and in the center sat a massive brain-like organ connected to countless tendrils. Plant the disruptors at the marked positions, Rogers ordered. We have 5 minutes. As the team worked, communications specialist Alan Howard studied the pulsing patterns in the central organ. Commander, Howard said softly, these pulses aren't random. They're a language, a communication system. Rogers joined him, watching the patterns of light moving through the tendrils. Can you decode it? Howard connected a small device to one of the tendrils. I think so. It's transmitting data to other nodes. If I can isolate the pattern. While the rest of the team finished planting the disruptors, Howard worked feverishly on his device. Got it, he said finally. It's a basic binary system, but biological. I can insert our own code into their network. Rogers looked at the countdown on the disruptors. 3 minutes. Make it fast. Howard's fingers flew over his device. I'm implanting false directions, telling their ships to ignore certain coordinates. I'm marking Earth colonies as already consumed, so they'll avoid them. Time to go, Rogers said as the first disruptor began to hum. The team retreated through the tunnels, moving faster now that stealth was less critical. They'd reached their hidden ship just as the ground began to shake. From orbit, the U.S. Dauntless watched as Captain Maria Lewis directed the operation. Special Ops team is aboard their shuttle, reported the communications officer. Lifting off now. The hive node is beginning to collapse, added the science officer. Disruption waves spreading through their network. Lewis watched as the shuttle escaped the planet's atmosphere. Behind it, the hive structure imploded, sending shockwaves across the surface. Bring them home, she ordered, and get Howard to the command deck immediately. If he's managed to crack their communication system, this could change everything. Hours later, in the Joint Earth Confederation Command Center, Howard presented his findings to Admiral Carter, General Voss, and the combined military leadership. The hive speaks through biological signals, a shared consciousness, Howard explained. I've figured out how to insert our own signals into their network. Carter's eyes widened. You can give them false orders. Better, Howard replied. I can make parts of their network ignore others. I can create confusion, make their ships attack each other. Voss looked skeptical. One human figured out in minutes what our best scientists couldn't solve in weeks. Howard shrugged. Humans are good at pattern recognition, and we've been studying communication systems since we invented language. Carter turned to the alien representatives. This is why Alliance works. Different perspectives, different strengths. For the first time, genuine respect showed in Voss's eyes. Begin implementing this strategy immediately. We'll coordinate a full counteroffensive. As the meeting ended, Carter approached Howard. Well done. You may have just given us our first real chance at victory. Just doing my job, sir, Howard replied. Besides, they called us primitive. Seemed only fair to show them how wrong they were. 1 year after the Battle of Alpha Centauri, Ambassador Eric Miller stood before the newly formed Galactic Council. The Grand Chamber on Earth's orbital station, Unity, looked nothing like the Confederation Hall where he had once been mocked. Representatives from 32 species sat in a perfect circle, symbolizing their equal status. High Chancellor Krev sat directly across from Miller, his once haughty posture now relaxed and respectful. As we mark the anniversary of our alliance, Miller began, we also celebrate 3 months since our last major engagement with the Nexus Hive. The threat has not been eliminated, but it has been contained. The room filled with approving murmurs. On the large display behind Miller, images showed the combined fleet, sleek Confederation vessels now outfitted with Earth's quantum shields alongside Earth's more robust ships. Earth has been honored to serve as the strategic center for our joint operations, Miller continued. And today, we are proud to host the first assembly of the Galactic Alliance, the organization that will replace the former Confederation. Krev rose slowly to his feet. If I may speak, Ambassador Miller. Miller nodded, stepping aside. 1 year ago, I sat in judgment of Earth, Krev said, his voice carrying through the chamber. I found your species wanting. I dismissed your technology as primitive, your military as weak, your culture as unworthy. He paused, looking around at the assembled representatives. I was wrong. We were all wrong. Earth did not just save the Confederation. It showed us a better way to exist as a galactic community. Krev turned to face Miller directly. On behalf of all former Confederation species, I formally apologize for our arrogance and thank humanity for their wisdom in looking beyond our rejection. Miller inclined his head in acceptance as Krev returned to his seat. Captain Maria Lewis, now Admiral Lewis, stepped forward next. Behind her walked representatives from 7 different species, the scientists who had worked together on the final solution to the Hive threat. With the combined knowledge of our alliance, Lewis announced, we have developed a permanent countermeasure against the Nexus Hive. Dr. Martinez, would you explain? Dr. Olivia Martinez moved to the center of the chamber. The Hive's strength was its biological communication network. By introducing specific biological markers into their system, we've created a kill switch that prevents new Hive ships from forming connections with the central consciousness. Paul Green joined her. In simple terms, we've vaccinated the galaxy against the Hive. Any new Hive nodes that emerge will be isolated and manageable. The chamber erupted in applause. President Franklin rose to speak. Today marks not just the end of a war, but the beginning of a new era. The Galactic Alliance will be founded on principles of mutual respect, shared knowledge, and common defense. She gestured to a ship schematic on the display. To symbolize this new beginning, we unveil the Alliance vessel Harmony, the first starship built with the combined technologies of all our civilizations and crewed by members of 12 different species. The image showed a magnificent ship unlike any before it. Elegant like Confederation vessels, but strong like Earth ships, with new elements contributed by other Alliance members. Admiral Lewis will command Harmony on its maiden voyage next month, Franklin announced. As the assembly concluded, Miller found himself face to face with Krev in a quiet corner of the chamber. Did you know it would end this way, Ambassador? Krev asked, when we laughed at your request to join us. Miller smiled. No one could have predicted this exact outcome, Chancellor. But we always believe that different perspectives make us stronger together than apart. Humans have an unusual wisdom, Krev admitted. You hide your strength until needed, share your knowledge freely, and forgive past wrongs easily. Not always, Miller replied honestly. But we try to learn from history rather than repeat it. Outside the viewport, Earth shone blue and green against the darkness of space, no longer an isolated world, but the heart of a new galactic civilization.